Let me know where you from, where you watching from. Say hello. I'm up here in Canada. I got my Maple Leaf shirt on today, guys. Established 67. That's me. That's when I was born. So yeah, I thought we're gonna play around with a nice fall wreath today, and I want to throw in some maple leaves in there. So it's a kind of a tricky leaf, right? There's a little points, and you can definitely, if you look at a bunch of different resources, Google maple leaf. I mean, you'll get a bunch of different styles, and of course different color combinations with the fall coming. So yeah, I wanted to play a little bit about with that with you guys today, and play around again with direction and different color combinations, and coming up with some of your own colors too, right? So not all of us have every color plaid makes. So I love playing with color. I always like to make my own too. Do me a favor, please. Share. All right? Comment, and hopefully like this live event. I'm just using scrapbooking paper, right? I thought this was a fun background to play on, just to do like a little practice kind of thing, play on something, and then if you really like it, then you can always create some sort of background and paint it again, or you wouldn't want to get it any smaller than this because some of the details. We're going to use our styrofoam plate, put that right in the middle. And what I'm going to do with it is put a pencil mark so we can create a circle, have something to guide us so that we don't go too crooked or too weird shape. Alright, how's that look? Okay, just light, it doesn't have to be too dark, and you can always erase anything that you see later once it's dry. Alright, so I just thought that would be just a fun and easy way just to quickly map out. And what I want to do is extend the design on the outside as well as the inside of this circle. So when we make our wreath, what I suggest you do is stay on the inside. Right, so that way we're not going to get any bigger than this. Right, we're going to play around and with our stroke work and put a nice couple wreath, circle wreath. Okay, sound pretty easy to get started. If you have to use a pencil, go ahead. You know, like sometimes we get, especially on paper, you can't erase this as much, right? And you're not following anything in particular, and then sometimes you get sidetracked and maybe, you know, over here I didn't cross over properly. Right, so you want to kind of cross over things, and then we're going to add some more branches in there too. Okay, does that sound like an easy start? All right, so hopefully you guys are going to follow me over onto my YouTube channel. Check out a lot of stuff that you might have missed if you're new to my page. Then definitely, I've been doing this for a few years now. I've got over 200 videos now on my YouTube channel to check out. Right, all the different troubleshooting videos to fun and easy projects to all kinds of fun things. All right, so we're going to start off with a little bit of burnt umber. Gonna need a little bit of that today. A little bit of coffee latte. Add some white. And we're gonna be needing more colors as we go, but we'll start off with this for now. Alright, and then also because we're on paper, we might need a little bit of floating medium. Yeah, so that I like to kind of put in the middle somewhere, so I can keep an eye on it. Okay, so I want to load my brush a little bit differently. I'm going to be actually using the angle brush a little bit today with you guys to get started, because I do feel like they are wonderful for doing all these wreaths and viney work, right? We're going to play around with that. and there's a heel and the toe, and it's missing that one toe a little bit more. We're so used to being able to flip and flop with our flat brushes. I love my flat brush, but you know, sometimes that extra corner does get in the way, and if you're trying to do a lot of crazy little lines like that, then it is one of my favorite brushes to use. So what we want to do is draw with the point, right, and have the color follow with the heel. So we're going to load the back end of the brush with the lighter color, and then load the toe with the darker color. Okay, so that way when we drag it behind, you're going to get a nice color of dark come behind. Okay, so we want to lighten up this coffee latte just a little bit. Alright, we can add a little bit of white to it, and then now I've got myself right by my puddle, so I can come and side load to pick up a little bit more dark when I need it. Okay, so like I said, we're going to stay inside the circle, guys, because I have to keep myself focused this way too, because if I don't, I'll end up making it bigger than I want to. Alright, so I'm not really following my lines very good. So every once in a while, we want a little bit more drag. We're going to put a little bit of medium in there, because I can see already that it's giving me a little bit of a draggy kind of motion here. Right, so I'm just going to keep coming over and picking up a little bit more of that burnt umber. Right, so however it's easier for you, pull this around. Little S's. Some of them you might see almost like a ribbon effect, right? If you just put a little bit more pressure, you should be seeing a little bit of coffee latte popping out. Right. Keep adding more coffee latte, a little bit of white, and keep side loading. Right. So now you want to try to cross over. Right, so I didn't have a perfect wiggle there, the number 8 formation. That's okay, just keep playing, adding to it, right? Is there 3, is there 4, is there 5? It doesn't matter. By the time we put all of our little leaves on there, and then also what I want to play around with you today, instead of doing pumpkins, because there's been so many pumpkins going on right now, I also want to share with you guys some gooseberries, right? So if you guys jumped on my series number 4, I have a series that I have done, and it was around fall, when I created that one, so it was definitely inspired by more fall designs. And we painted on glass, we painted on wood, we painted on all kinds of things. So on the vase, we painted on some gooseberries on there. So we're going to show you a little bit of a gooseberry today. Okay, so now I've got a good braid of things going on here. I can definitely, start coming around and adding little veins here and there wherever I think there's might be going to be a leaf come out. We're going to add more, but definitely we got some that's going to come around on the outside, and some on the inside, so it definitely is going to be a variety of leaves going on. Right, so I got one big one there, one big one there. So I quickly played around with a mock version of this earlier, but I ain't showing you guys because it ended up being a little messy, but hopefully this will turn out a little more neater. Okay, so we've got a good vine going on here. Okay, we can blow dry this really quickly. while you guys are catching up to me, hopefully you're painting with me today. You playing? Okay, so after it's dry, it's distorting you, we can just do a quick erase. Well, anything you didn't use won't distort you. There's a good chance that some of this would have been covered anyways, but giving you guys a chance to catch up to me here. Get your wreath done. There. You see a little better now? Okay, so the first thing I want to plop in here are our big maple leaves. Okay, so I did make a sheet here, playing around a little bit. Little chalk marks on here I was using first. Okay, so the one thing about the maple leaf, to make it a little bit easier, is sometimes establishing the veins in the leaf first, right? So you can make them fairly easy, or you can definitely make them a little bit more wispy, almost like a holly leaf. Okay, so there's definitely different ways of doing it. But one thing that I noticed when I was really examining the leaf is all their veins, every leaf, part of that leaf, starts from one pivot point. Okay, so this is your stem, this is the base of the leaf. So all of them have to come back to this one point. I found when I was trying to do this freehand without actually sketching something, right, that it would end up being off, and I'd end up making it too wide on one side and not wide on the other. So definitely just all we have to do is put a couple lines like this, and then it'll be a lot easier to follow. Okay, so you don't have to draw it with pencil. You can definitely do it with your liner brush or your angle brush or your flat brush. Okay, so we've got that one main one there. We're going to establish how long do we want to make our stem, right? So we've got a big V here and a big V here, and I'm definitely going to show you guys a little bit bigger, hopefully. Then we're going to make them a little bit smaller. Okay, and then the side parts of that leaf actually come out almost straight, right? So it's all about getting that settled first, right? This one here is a little bit easier, and I noticed that it was almost like a cross, right? Because it went a little bit lower. Right, so this one here, I was trying to copy my t-shirt on just a simple leaf, right? But definitely you can bump it up and make it a little bit more legit as well. All right. So we're going to play around with a little brighter colors. We're definitely going to get maybe some yellow ochre out. Get a little bit of Pueblo. Just trying to put a little bit of everything right now. Okay, some moon yellow, my new favorite. Instead of daffodil, I just find that moon yellow, you can get so many more shades of yellow with it. It's such a brilliant color and a little bit better of coverage for you. Okay, so you can see that there's a lot of little veins in there too. So I also put little ticks of more veins that you can put in there later, right? So you definitely can add more detail if you want. So I'm just wiping off my brush. And I want to pick up a little bit of Pueblo and moon yellow. Put this down before my floating medium goes a little crazy here. Okay, so I want to make a gradient. Right, I might have to go to a bigger brush, guys. This is going to be perfect for the wreath. Let's get a a bigger brush out. 16 or 3/4 seriously will be easier than using a 12. Okay, so let's get that worked in again. I try not to hit my white, but I do want to add just a little bit of white into my yellow, and I definitely don't want that much Pueblo, so over direct and knock that paint back down. Soften that gradient. Add a little bit more white. So we'll do this one a little bit more brighter. Okay. So what I like to do too is also figure out what's the easiest way to do this, right? Are you going to go all the way around? No, like it's a little bit, it's a lot of little areas, definitely a little bit more paint. You're going to have to keep going back, adjusting your paint a little bit and come carry on, right? So what I like to do is start by establishing the top. So you're going to come up to a point, come down a little bit, almost like, because I think of holly leaves, if you guys have played with holly leaves, and then back down, slide back up again, and then back down to our point. Okay. Then you're going to come swing this down, right? So you're going to come down, and then you're going to swing it around to create the second point. And my things didn't give it very much room, so forget that, and then we're going to go and repeat and then back down. Okay, and when you're down, you can come and do another U, and the bottom part's on the easy one is definitely, you know, a little bit too. You slide that back down again, make a little one again, and then back to that same point again. Okay. Just depends on how big you want to make them. But I find the bigger the brush, the easier it is. Then you don't have to slide so much. Okay, so we're going to come up again, do a little point, drag it back. Big point, drag it back to another point, and then bring it back into the point. Because I find, especially the size, you're definitely going to come in and readjust your brush a little bit more. Now we can grab that tail, bring it around to 1 point, 2 points, and then straight into the side. Okay, so when you're going down towards your side, you're going to stop halfway, do another little point, and slide right in. Okay, so you can always make little adjustments to it when you piece it down. Right, so if I want this to come out a little bit wider, I can do that. Right, just little bits of space. Right, then you can come and pick up a little bit of burnt umber. Right, add your veins back on top. Right, and they're all going to be dancing in the wind, right? So they're going to be having all different shapes and sizes and twists to it. Like I didn't go straight up. I put the top over to the side a little bit, give it a little bit of wind movement, right? But definitely when you go and do practice a little bit more and you want it to look like it's facing you more, like this one here, I drew it a little bit bigger on the top and a little bit smaller on the bottom. That's going to force the eye to make it look like it's coming towards you from the top. Right, so when you make everything all the same, looks pretty flat. So this is where I just try to play around with it a little bit. Do a quick little sketch on things if you're not feeling comfortable with, how many different ways of, this is going. But, when I practiced this in a small little spot, like just playing with one area at a time, it became a lot easier to remember how to do with this leaf. Right, there's oak leaves, there's all kinds of different leaves that are all a little bit different, but a lot of people are challenged with the maple leaf, and even me sometimes, I goof up on them. But, definitely this is just basic, straightforward colors with a little bit of Pueblo and our bright yellows. Okay, so through the program, hopefully you guys see that I go through all kinds of ways to play around with the leaf. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see in the corner here the fall leaves. We put a bunch of different colors in them, and I did some other styles of leaves. Okay, get a little closer for you here. I'm probably going to go back to my flat because that is definitely my favorite. All right, and I do want to make this a good size. Okay, so we'll start with the one right here. All right, so let's play around with our colors a bit more. So we've got our yellow ochre. Want to dab it down a little bit. Yellow ochre makes it nice and goldy looking too. And then also adding just that little bit of burnt umber at the base. Right, so you can see a little bit of all your colors there. Right, and then you're going to add a little bit of white to lighten it up a bit. Okay, so we're going to make these ones a little bit darker. And I definitely got to push down on my brush a little bit more, because I want to load it up a little bit higher. I can mix a little bit of that yellow ochre to drab it down a bit. Okay, so we've got our stem coming out. We've got a Y, and a Y, and then we have our straight, and then our straight. Okay, so that's pretty easy to kind of guide you. So we want to do these a little bit smaller, right? So point, point, point. Little tiny bit of medium. And get the top established. Then I'm going to come down a little bit and point. Need a little bit more brighter color. Point, and then back down. So what you want is here to be a little bit softer. Oops. So you want it to be rounded a little bit there. And then we're going to come down. Oops. Round, point, point. Definitely a little drier this paper than my practice sheets. And then another little one. Okay, so that one's going to be a little bit short and chubby. Right, coming down, a little bit of a U, point, point, and then pressure. A little bit more white. Right, want it to be a little bit of a U. And if it's this small, you only have to do 2, really. It doesn't really matter if you do 3 if you run out of room. Right, so that might make the illusion of it being a little bit twisted, right? So what do you think of that leaf? Do you think that's easy enough for you guys to do? definitely room to expand it a bit more, right? You can definitely make them a little taller. So let's repeat this a few times here, just to get it locked into your brain. And a little bit of white. Okay, so I want to put another one up here. And try to leave a little bit more space. So it's good to have like at least 3 of every color combination. Right. Bring it down. A little bit of U. Right, I could probably use a 16 here, so I don't have to drag my brush so much, or make them smaller. Coming down to finish this one. And drag it in, and I just use the corner of my brush to fill it in. A little bit of white, a little bit of medium. You don't want too much medium because then it's going to be too translucent. Right, so you want coverage. Okay, so we've got one there. A little bit of yellow if it gets too drabby. And we'll put another one in this direction now. Just helps you get rounded a bit. So I'm going to come up a little bit taller. A little bit of a hump and up. And so again, if you flip it smaller, I'm running out of room, right? So if you flip it a little more side view, a little bit bigger on this side than that side. And then pressure, bring up. This side I'm going to make it small. Or smaller. Right? So hopefully that's giving you the illusion of it flipping a little bit more too. Okay, so let's put another one over here. Really squishing it on this side. Try to be a little bit more airy on this side. Okay, so you're just going to join them here. Make that a little longer. Again, a little bit of space. So that you can have a little bit of more area. So you always want to join these guys. Alright, so see how that one's dancing a little bit differently now? Okay, so we're going to change the colors here a little bit, and then also different variations of it, right? Like there's different leaves that don't have all the 5. So you can definitely come and maybe add a little bit of browns and some coffee lattes. Add a little bit of yellow ochre, a little bit of white. Okay, making that a little bit softer. Right, so definitely you can come around and do a pointy kind of leaf. Bring it down, and then up, and then down. Right, they have like a 3-point kind of leaf to them. Right, we're gonna play around and put a couple of those in there. Okay. Get some dark in there. Just coffee latte, some soft colors. Right, so let's put some little guys, 2. Right, so you can also put some softer ones. And I want to kind of spread these out a little bit. So let's start on this side. The hardest ones will be the maple leaves. And then maybe the gooseberry. Okay, so we want to put 3 there. We want to put 1 here. And then we can add another little stem over here. Something just a little bit fun there. So at least 3 of those. And then we can also put more of these in too as fillers, like smaller ones. Okay, so I also want to play around with some other different colors with you guys too. So I want to play around with some teal, some Prussian blue, some citrus green. All right, so that's why I'm just putting, a little bit of everything. This is my runny citrus green that I got for some reason. Okay, so we're gonna put in some Prussian blue, some teal. We're gonna lighten it up with a bit of citrus. Okay, and maybe just a little bit of white. Alright, so again, we're gonna just play around with some picky styles of leaves. I get you guys playing with a variety here. Right, so back and forth, back and forth. We'll put another one here. So it's almost like your full standard leaf. Right? Sometimes you can put 5 or 6 twigs. Sometimes you can, it depends how big you want to make them. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of that in there. A little bit of white. Getting you guys practicing different styles. Didn't put enough pressure. Pressure, and then back out, and then pressure. You can try and play around with different variations with just the white and teal, or you can play with your citrus and white. Okay, so I'm going to put in another one over here. And a little bit bigger on one side. It really helps to twist the eye. Okay, so we got a few of those. Maybe we'll couple with some citrus in them. I'm going to play around with one smoother. One over here. Right, these also make great filler leaves in there too. Right, get a little bit more variations here. I want a couple of them looking a little bit dark. And we'll put another one up here. Okay, so I also want to play with you guys a little bit more with this Prussian with lots of white. And we're going to dirty it with the Prussian to get a nice soft creamy white. Okay, so just a little bit of dirty Prussian to dirty that white. Okay, get lots of paint in there. Okay, so I'm going to try and put in a little bigger leaf in places too. Right, so we're going to do a more heart-shaped leaf. Where am I going? Right, I don't have room to do the whole shape, the whole leaf on this side. Right, so to a point. And then over direct a bit with the light on the outside. And then flip it over to have your light on the inside. So again, our heart-shaped leaves are more like over-directed. Right, so you really got to push all the way around, pivot in the center here. Your pivot stays the same, and then you're going to slowly move it out to a point. Okay, so it's a little softer. Then we're going to flip things around to the other way again, adding the dark on the outside, always pivoting back to that center point, and then slight slide to the front. Okay, and then you can put in a little bit of a vein in there. A little bit heavy there. So what do you think of all these crazy colors here? Little bits of blues. Alright, so we put one there, we will put one there, so that means we've got to put one over here somewhere. Okay, so I'm going to stay in this direction here, I think. So we got to put our little T there, or a little Y. So it helps us direct us, right? Back all the way around. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. I gotta pick up more paint. And then to a point. Right, let's smooth that out again. To a point. Push myself around this way. Always back to that point until you're like 2/3 of the way through. Then you can do a little slide to a point. So I'm leaving a space down here. And a couple more spaces. So I want to show you guys this gooseberry here. It almost looks like a pumpkin, but it's not. And for that, actually, I want to pull out some apple red. I want it to be a little bit stronger color going on to make our orange. You guys still with me? You having fun yet? And you can make these nice and big, so let's get a 16 out if you have it. And just dampen that just slightly. Okay, so I'm gonna just take over this gradient pile here with my red and yellow. Alright, so we're gonna make this a little darker with that, and definitely only want a little bit of red, guys. So if it's easier for you guys to side load into it, I'm running out of room on my plate, so I'm just going to do it the old traditional way. Put a tiny little bit of medium in there just so that it moves on the paper. Okay, so these guys are, like I said, a gradient that's about 2/3 and 1/3 dark. Okay, and what we're doing, remember I was showing you that heart-shaped leaf, right? So this is basically the same thing as that we're doing with that heart-shaped leaf. Right, and we're creating our heart just in a smooth stroke to a point. And I ran off of paint there, just add a little bit more point. Okay, so you want to make sure your gradient is right up there, guys. Okay, especially in the back. Okay, so you're definitely coming around the side. Okay. A little bit more red, I'll show you guys that again. Okay, so if you're pushing your brush that much bigger, right, to get it bigger, then upsize your brush. You should always just have that little bit of pressure that you're able to feel comfortable dragging it all the way around on the pivot and then to a slight point. Okay, so you guys ever do the apples? I have a fruit series that I played around with too, if you guys are interested in fruit. Okay, so again, just working my way around. Right, oh, I moved a little bit away from my pivot here. Did you see that? Very easy to do. Pressure, spin it around, and then slowly pop up on your chisel to a point. Okay, so I just wanted to give you another example there, because this part, there's a second part to this, right? So you want to add a front layer. Okay, a little bit of white in there. Maybe lighten up that yellow a little bit. Am I moved off again? move you over so you guys can watch what I'm doing. My plate's been getting in my way. It's traveling. Okay, so what we want to do is move down a little bit more. Okay, so we're going to create that same heart shape. And we're just moving down a little bit, so hopefully you have enough gradient in there to add a little extra layer in there. Okay, so you're coming down lower and bringing it to the side. And you can go over your stroke again. Right, so it's just like an apple where you see that little area here, and then you're going to add a front little U stroke. Okay, so this is quite big. So do I want to make them that big on my project? You know, you could use a 12, but I want to show you guys big. Okay, so once you've got your second layer in there, and your yellow could be a little bit dirty too, so it's a little bit more orangey. Right, so that's the nice thing about, you know, I like dirtying my colors on purpose, right, so that we can make different blends of color. Okay, so then once you're done your double heart shape, we're going to almost play around a little bit with our stripes like a pumpkin. Right, so you're going to have your two that kind of swing around on the side or one in the middle, then pull around, and pull around, and pull around. Okay, so you can also use your liner brush too. So you see how I might have made a little bit of a mess here. Right, you can always go over that again a little bit. Okay, so let me show you that again with another heart. A little bit less pressure makes it smaller. Okay, so again, one side bigger than the other. Right, it twists the view. So then once you got your heart shape done, you're going to grab the top and make a little bit of a U shape and just blend it together. Okay, so this is your first part, this is your second part. Okay, so we're just going to wet this a little bit and pick up some red this time. You can flop some into your yellow, so you just flip and flop to get multi-loading your liner brush. And if it's easier for you guys, you can definitely just use a liner brush. Right? A little bit around, a little bit around. Slowly working your way out, and you're almost coming from the top here. Right? So you want them to be nice and round. And then one to the side. And then once this is all good and dry, you see how I got little bits of yellow in there and different colors going on. Then when it's really good and dry, then you can always come in and add a little bit more shading in there too to really give it lots of detail. Okay, so you want to see the heart shape in the back. And then you want to see it also in the front. And then I give it a little bit more shape of a U in the front. And then from the down. Okay, so this is where your stem is going to come out. Okay, so just judging by me playing there, I think we can do it. Just really less pressure, right? It's all about pressure, guys. So a little bit more yellow. You can use a little bit of yellow ochre if you like to, right? But one thing you got to do is get that yellow up. so that you're only getting a little bit of red at the tip. Okay, a little bit of white, dirty that yellow, create more of an orange. You can also add, you know, some Pueblo in there too, but it's up to you. You can have different variations. Pueblo is great for coverage. It gives you a little bit more opaque color. Right, so you can also add a little bit of Pueblo in there. Okay, so we're gonna have one little one coming right in the middle here. Okay, off to the side, maybe a little bit more. All right, so we have one's gonna come like it's coming down. Right, so we've got little tiny small ticks here for our heart shape. Let's try this again. Now that it's a little bit dry. We were right. I don't know why I got flipped over around there. I am definitely dyslexic, guys. I really do suffer from that, I swear. I do see things backwards sometimes. Okay, let's try that again. So it should be brighter. Okay, a little bit less pressure. No big deal, just go over it again. There we go. I'm on the right track now. So it's all that matters if I get there eventually. Alright, so again, a little bit more red on that edge. And be careful with your gradient. This is way too much red. No. But we're not going to see much on the front part here anyways. Back part. Okay, so I wouldn't be so messy if I didn't have to reverse things. Okay, so just play with it, make sure that it's a nice shape. Okay, so these things often are yellow and then they start turning more green, and so you can definitely put little hits of green in there too. And then once they get like a light green, then they start opening up and these little tiny round berries are inside of here. Okay, so what I want to do with you guys is play a little bit. We're going to let these dry a bit. And I'm going to show you a bit of a open one. Okay, so I want to come over into my citrus and my white. And we're going to dirty this just a little bit with some teal. Teal, citrus, and white. Okay, so we've got to create a little nest of these leaves that are going to come out with our little ball. So I'm just going to put one here to show you guys, okay? So we've got a leaf that's going to come over and slide right around. Okay. Then the other side of the leaf, the back of the leaf, I'm going to show you the two back parts, right? So we've got one back coming this way. Okay, so that's the way they kind of curl open a little bit in a one stroke way. Right, so they're definitely kind of really pointy. Okay, so right in here, we want to put some real orange or Pueblo's fine. We're going to create our little circle here of our ball. Okay, so remember in the first course I teach you guys how to do a circle, right? Why? Because all kinds of reasons why. You wouldn't believe all the things we can do with a circle gradient. Okay, so I'm just putting a little bit of yellow around the outside here. Okay, so this is kind of the little gooseberry that's inside here. Okay, so we're going to let that dry a little bit or blow dry it and come back to that too. Okay, so I'm going to come back to my heart shape part now. Okay, so you're kind of seeing the back side and then a little bit lower. So you're starting a little bit lower. And you really only have to just add this part to here. You're not really having to go over the whole thing again unless you feel like you need more coverage. Okay, so we're going to start at the bottom, make a little bit of a U shape, come around just a little bit lower, and then around. Okay, so a little bit of a point. I do like it with a little bit of Pueblo in there too. Makes it a little softer. Okay, this is easy style. Alright, so a little bit lower. You want to be able to see that gradient. Alright. And I'm going to come down on a U. Gotta grab a little stronger red. Bring that over to the side. Ooh, I can't see. A little bit more Pueblo in there. And then this guy. Right, a little bit lower. Reinforce your color. Okay, so once you get comfortable, you're gonna pick up your brush and you're gonna swing it around and you're gonna do all kinds of fun things with it in unorthodox ways. It's all fun. And you just start learning to dance with your brush. So I'm gonna fix this part here a little bit. A little bit of white or a little bit of Pueblo. Right, that gives you coverage too. And just play with it. Very light way. Okay, so let's dry this a little bit. Make this a little bit brighter. I want it to look orange, but just a little glow around it. Are you still with me? Alright, let's go back to these colors here a little bit. Alright, so citrus green, some teal, some white. Alright, and I definitely want to play with this a little bit more with the coverage because it's, you can see that stroke behind it. Okay, so this one here I'm going to curl up in front of it. This is just opening. Okay, and again another one is going to open this way and curl in that way. Let's try that one again. Okay, so you can make them all curly in. Oops. Okay, let's open it up just a little bit. You can put your little ball in there. I'm just doing this really quick here. A little bit of yellow. Swirl that in there. Right. And then you're going to flip another one on top. And then just slightly covering, going around that orange. Okay, so that's basically what happens to them. There's this little ball inside. Okay, how come I made that really quick? I was just trying to dance with things and everything else has been going wrong tonight, so I really don't know. I'm just playing with it and having fun. Okay, so that could easily be another leaf. Right, and I guess if anything I share with you guys tonight is not to make anything too serious about it. Okay, so we can definitely come around and play with this a little bit more. Right, I'm just gonna have fun and make it work. Right, so I got orange in there this time. Right, so I wanna play with that back one a bit more. So we'll cover it right up. And we can always go back over this again a little bit, make it brighter. Clean my brush a little bit because I hit the blue. Okay, and then we're going to bring this one up in front of it again, curling it around the ball. And then we got to go up a little bit higher again, just to kind of hide that. Okay, forget about this guy, okay? We'll make that work. I was looking at two different gooseberries that had opened, and I was mixing them up a little bit. So I'm just going to show you quickly here. I do know what I'm talking about. Sometimes I just don't have the ability to be able to show you. Right? So this one here, I was showing you first, I was coming up and really having an open one. Okay, so this one is definitely open. And then, again, I had this originally like this. Alright. And then what you want to do is kind of open it down. So it's really open. Okay. And then we're going to stick your little ball right in here. Okay. So we'll go and pick up a little bit of Pueblo or Magenta is a nice one too. I like playing around with. Makes it a little bit more corally color. And then this one here is definitely just starting to open. Okay guys, hope you like the little something different. Alright, add a little bit more white in there. And then curl that right around. Okay. So that's what I was trying to do. Alright. Blow dry this a little bit. Add some brighter yellow in there. Add a little bit of red in there. Right, maybe it's got a glow right on the front top part. Yeah, it's a little bit better. Okay. There. Just keep playing with it until you get your nice color of orange that you like. And then you can always add just that little glow of white in there to make it look like it's round. Alright. Add a little bit more shading in there. Okay guys, so these sheets are available. If you'd like to buy this little practice session here, I'm going to be labeling everything, all the colors, the sizes of the brushes, and the directions. I put little arrows in areas as well as you guys need them, so then that way you can put them in some plastic sheets and practice right on top of them. Alright, so these two sheets will be available for the sketch and paint just for $10, guys. So just look down and below the description and you'll see my email there. You can always send me a message and let me know that you're interested in the gooseberry and maple leaf practice sheets. Alright, so that's my interpretation of these little balls here. Alright, you can barely see it in there going in there, but that's basically what happens with the gooseberry. They turn more green. And I'm trying to give them more colors. So those were the two things that I wanted to share with you today, basically. Was, the gooseberries and the maple leaves. Okay, so other than that, we can have fun with this and add, a little bit more like berries and stuff like that. We'll get our quarter scruffy brush out and we can add some nice little berries in there. We can make them keep them nice and fall colors, bright colors, Pueblo and moon yellow. So we can just make little areas of poofiness here. Alright, so we can put a couple there, a couple there. Right, little trios. And I still want to come in and play around with the liner brush with you guys. So we're just leaving some areas that are set for a little bit, have fun, play with, keep going. Maybe a little bit more red in there. Yeah, a little bit more red in there. Right. Nice and bright. We'll pop a couple up over the sides. I know, I'm now Donna. She gets them done in no time. I have to mess up. Okay, but I show you how to get out of trouble. All right, so we're gonna put a couple over here, a couple over here. Okay. You can definitely do other little dabby things too. Get the 12 back out again. Maybe with a little bit of coffee latte in white. Something a little softer. Okay, so we're just gonna do like little dabs. Right, dab, 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 kind of thing. Right, almost like a pussy willow effect. And just adding like little fillers. Right. Coffee latte. Don't be afraid to layer a little bit. And if you want them a little darker, you can maybe add some coffee latte and some burnt umber. And we'll put some of those down there, a little bit more with coffee latte or with burnt umber. Just little plops, guys. Yeah. I get them to stand out a little bit differently. Okay, so while we have this coffee latte and burnt umber here, I want to make some more leaves too. Okay, so I kind of plopped on that one a little bit. So again, you can just, whatever one's your favorite ones, little filler leaves. I'm looking for a color. A little bit brighter. I think we're pretty good, actually. Not too bad at all. We got a nice little, we can still see our vine behind it. And I think that's good. We can just get a liner brush out now. And the thing I want to do first of all is to add little stems. I'm just putting a little bit of water. Hopefully you guys are seeing this. Into my burnt umber here. And we're just going to use our liner brush to add little stems into these guys. Alright, and I'm going to just stick with brown right now. They're just little wispy stems just to join it into. Right. And then over here I want to pick up burnt umber and a little bit of, we can multi-load a bit with some red. So it's a little bit more of a richer brown. Right, just to add just a little bit of color here. So you're gonna add these guys little stems to them. And we'll float that one in there like this. All right. Okay, did I get them all? Those ones? No, I didn't. Okay, so this one has to be brought in there and there. Okay, so we do have to come back here and add little stripes to these guys. You can do it with red, you can do it with a little bit of brown red. Oops. My paper is wobbling a little bit on me. Alright, just a fun practice, guys, I wanted to do tonight. Like I said, I just played around on some paper. And I'm going to show you a few different things. A little bit more red with that brown. Right, and then you're going to use that to put your stem in. So your stem has got to come through the back and then into the middle where you're, see where I started it? It's got to come down now. So we want to put it right through the top here. Okay, so right through and into the top. Okay, almost like an apple. Oh, we didn't put any little stems on this guy. Alright, so just some little stems in there. And then we also have to still add some stems to our maple leaf. So I wanted to play with my liner brush all at the same time, guys. Okay, so remember we have the one here. It all comes from the stem. Ooh, I almost dropped that. Right, and then one comes down the middle there. Okay. So then you can make more little V's. Right, gotta get my brush loaded properly. Okay, so you can do more little V's, but they're attached to each other on both sides. Okay, so really getting a little extra detail in there. Because I know how to complicate things. Alright, so again, this is really dark, so I almost want to get this a little bit lighter, a little bit more water in there. So it's a little bit more translucent. Okay. Alright, so that's just the gist of it. Okay, a little bit more water in there. Really inky here. Very fine lines. And where these little extra lines are going is to all those points. So if you made more little picks on your maple leaf, then these would all be going to one of those picks. Okay, so definitely got to get the two right to the top, right to the points. And you don't always have to put in lots, you just have to put in a few. And I'm just trying to do this really super quick here, guys, so hopefully you're liking this. Alright, so we can always just put in a couple like that, call it done. Alright, you can decide which ones do you like better. When you're making them really super big, then yeah, definitely all those little extra veins in there would definitely look nice. And we're gonna put just 2. I still feel like it needs more. So at least 2 to those points. Right. And you know, just have fun with it. And then I can sign it and call it done. Need more water in there. Alright, my course number 3 helps you with all your liner practice, guys. I have so many different little assignments to play with for liner practice. You guys will definitely be dancing with your brushes by the time you're done. What do you think? You loving the colors? Just having fun with it, guys. You know, sometimes we have to play around and get an idea, and then the second time you do it is always way better. Okay, so just practice, play on something. Send me your practice if you want. Tag me if you like. That would be wonderful. And if you definitely want to jump on any of the projects that I shared with you tonight, that would be great. Just message me or email me off of YouTube if you guys don't have Messenger on YouTube. But you can definitely email me at mctclassinfo@yahoo. And you can find the links down below in my YouTube channel in the description area for everything. If you're interested in jumping on my brand new course that I've got recorded. Okay, this is not a live class. I decided to go and record this because it was something I had to play with, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to record it while I'm working on it and see how it goes. And yeah, definitely is something that I love the first time, and when I feel rushed and flabbergasted in class, sometimes I sometimes mess up. So maybe recording is a good way to do it in advance for you guys too. You could catch the recording, get the pattern. Okay, there's all these roots coming down under here, and definitely more leaves that fell on them, and moss growing on here, and lots of texture going on with the super thick paints. And yeah, I didn't put any texture in the bird, just in all the leaves, all the trees, a little bit in the moss. All right, so there's lots of fun stuff. I keep getting turned around in here. It's like looking in a mirror. Alright guys, so thank you so much for staying with me. And I'll keep up with the comments too. I'll keep an eye on them as you guys see the video. So hopefully it'll be enjoyed, okay? So let me know how you liked it. And we will see you guys soon, okay?